I apologise for the direct nature of this question, but it's what other people are asking, so I hope you don't mind me asking it to you, Fiona. Should the leadership of the SQA become the leadership of Qualifications Scotland?
Well, ultimately, that is not a matter for me to determine. However, I think there are a couple of points that I think it might be important and appropriate for me to make. And I understand the question that you're asking. Obviously, it's a question that requires a degree of sensitivity, because while I am Chief Executive of the SQA, I also have a leadership team and a wider organisation behind me, and they work hard to deliver. So, two things. One is in relation to the commitment that the Scottish Government made to the employees of SQA at the point at which, almost 3.5 years ago, at the point at which the announcement was made to replace the SQA, which was that all staff would have the right of transfer to Qualifications Scotland. And I think there are provisions in the bill to that effect. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, and I think it's on record in response to a parliamentary question from Pan Duncan Glancy, that the chair of the SQA has been commissioned to look at certain aspects of the establishment of Qualifications Scotland, and that includes the establishment of a schools unit, a consideration of a head teacher coming into the organisation, and that was mentioned in the Cabinet Secretary's statement in relation to Hayward last week, and looking at the leadership structures.
I suppose there is a difference between having the right to remain in post and exercising leadership and making a decision that because of the groundswell of demand for change, that whether you should remain in that post. So there's a difference between the two, but I won't ask you to go any further than that. I just want it to be put onto the record that there is a whole range of organisations that have expressed very strong views. Many local authority education officers and heads of education like West and Bartonshire say a wholesale transfer of personnel to Qualifications Scotland would undermine the reform process. Inverclyde say the same people will still be involved, leading to the same approach by another name. Murray Council, how will the current system be different if the same people are leading in senior roles? And there's lots of other organisations like that. I mean, how do you view those responses? Does that affect the decisions that you and your team that you think you'll make going forward?
Well, I understand the points that have been made, not least in the context of a bill which obviously creates a new organisation that has the same functions, not just in broad terms, in quite specific terms, as the existing organisation. So therefore, I understand why a number of stakeholders and a number of responses to the committee's consultation on the bill highlight the need for change. But what we've been seeking to do in response to some of the concerns that have been raised about the SQA is to engage, and that has included engagement with some members of the committee, including yourself, Mr Rennie, in relation to our corporate plan, which we are setting out as a perspective for change, which highlights that the bill is the scaffolding for further change to the new organisation.
Quite a difficult set of questions, because we're talking about people's jobs, people's livelihoods. But I was pleased to hear that your experience, Lawrence and Graham, is that the SQA have attempted to change and you're seeing some of the benefits of that. But Graham, you indicated that there will still need to be a change of personnel. Can I be direct? Should the Chair and the Chief Executive of the SQA be the Chair and the Chief Executive of Qualifications Scotland?
I think it's difficult to put the personalities aside from the post. But I think there has to be, if the current Chair is taking forward the culture and changing that culture now, as Lawrence has said, in which we have evidence of, then I don't see why not. But the problem is, when that job was advertised, did it actually state in it that there would be the chair of SQA and then the chair of the qualifications? And whether that was made public or not, I don't know. I think it's very difficult to take a qualifications authority as it is now and have the same people at the top lead that in a different direction unless they're already showing that they want to lead that in that different direction. I think there maybe has to be the jobs advertised, and then the people can, the current people can apply for them, be interviewed, and take it forward that way. Because if they really are going to of the mind to change, they will convince people because of their background, because of their experience, and the way that they want to move forward at the moment.
So that's a change of your position, because you previously said you couldn't understand how the chair could continue from one to the other.
I still think that there's maybe a bit more politics in there as when this job was advertised about what were the criteria there. I think there really has to be a complete change in many ways. We think that, but we're realistic in the fact that there are people in these posts at the moment, and their livelihood also has to be taken into consideration. So if they are convinced, and they can convince an interview panel that they will take their SQA forward in a different direction, then that's the decision that the interview panel would make at the end of the day. I still think that there needs to be a change, and it maybe is that there are other people in the in the authority who need to think about their position as well, how they're taking it forward, because it is a collective responsibility. It's the same in the school. You know, when you've got a head teacher and deputy, you're running the school together, you're taking things forward. So there has been a collective view there. It's how do we change that collective view and move things forward?